Good evening, students. Today we will study electrical machines. And broadly, the electrical machines are of two types. One is AC machine and the DC machine, and the next one is AC machine. Under your DC machines, you have two types of machines. One is DC motor, and next one is DC generator. So both these DC machines are rotating in nature because both will be having some rotating parts. And under AC machines you have AC motor and AC generator. And actually under AC motor and AC generator again you have two categories. One is conductional kind of machine, and next one is inductional type of machine. Under inductional type of machine you have again induction motor and you have transformer. So induction motor is generally rotating in nature, whereas transformer is static in nature, which you have already completed. And next before going for any machine, whether it is a DC motor, generator or transformer or induction motor, we have a basic principle of operation, that is Faraday's law. So in Faraday's law, what we need to do, we have to cut the magnetic flux by a particular conductor. To cut the magnetic flux by a particular conductor, we have again two categories. One is either you have to take the conductor static, and whatever the magnetic field will be producing, that is a dynamic magnetic field or a time varying magnetic field, which is basically the case of transformer action. In the case of transformer action, and next one is the second case is we have to produce a static field. Under a static magnetic field, you have to rotate or you have to move a conductor. So while we will be moving a conductor under the influence of a static field, we will be having a motional EMF. And basically your DC generator and DC motor, these machines will be working under motional EMF, where we have a static magnetic field. Under the static magnetic field, you have to rotate a particular conductor. Here through the diagram I have made you understand about the transformer EMF. In transformer EMF, you have to give a AC supply. This AC supply is given to a conductor or coil. So whenever we will be giving a AC supply to a coil, in this coil a flux is created, and this flux ultimately already it is a changing or alternating flux. So once this changing flux will be linking to this conductor, then there will be induced EMF. And once this flux will be linking to another coil also, there also another EMF will be induced. That is the secondary induced EMF in transformer. What is the motional EMF? As I told you, you have to give a DC supply to a conductor or to a coil. While you will be giving a DC supply to a coil, then a static magnetic field is produced, and once you will be moving a conductor in front of this static magnetic field, either you can move or you can rotate. Clear? According to the way you want to produce the induced EMF. So once you will be moving this one or you will be rotating this one, then ultimately you will be having a changing magnetic field through this conductor. So in this conductor there will be induced EMF in these two terminals. And once you will be suppose giving a resistance at the output here, once you will be connecting a resistance, whatever the EMF will be induced, that EMF can produce a current to flow through this particular resistance. So this is all about the fundamental of motional EMF. Okay, so under your motional EMF, your all these kind of machines will be coming: DC generator, DC motor, AC generator, AC motor. Okay, so you have these kind of machines under your motional EMF. This principle will be applicable to these sort of machines. Next, we have a different kind of machine, that is induction motor, which is something different. Once will be going to this one. Actually here this is a motor which will be rotating by the process of induction, but all in these cases the process will be the conductional process. Here you have the induction process. By the process of induction, by the process of induction, this particular motor will be rotating. So once we'll be going to this motor, then we can easily understand about this one. Okay, so now we'll be going to first the DC machines. So under DC machines, we have to study DC generator and DC motor. So first of all, before going for the principle of operation, first let us understand what is the construction. And in the construction itself, I will tell you basic principle. So what is the thing here? See, first of all, we have a outer part of the DC generator or DC machine. That outer part is known as the field system. Why it is known as field system? Because from this part actually the magnetic field is created. Okay, so actually here what is done, so the outer part is generally known as the field system, or it is known as stator. So here we will be having the stator poles. So these are stator poles. How they will be arranged? They will be arranged in alternative manner, means north south, in this way they will be arranged. Okay, so over these poles, actually how the poles are created? To these poles, see, to these poles we have to give the supply in this way. How the supply? You have to take some core part. Over the core you have to give some winding. The windings are to be connected in field opposition or series opposition. What is actually series opposition? See, this is known as the series connection. This is actually series. So this one is series, this one is known as series opposition. So what happens? See, whenever we will be giving the DC supply to this winding, then here the current flows in this way, here the current flows in this way. Then ultimately whatever the magnetic field is created, both are created in the same direction. But if I will be going for this kind of structure, so in this structure, the direction of magnetic field from the direction of current, you can understand the current is flowing in this way, then in this way, then in this way, finally it will be flowing in this way. So for this one the magnetic field is in this way, and for this one the magnetic field is in the opposite direction. So as they are in opposite direction, then the flux direction opposite means one, I can say the core on which this winding is wound, that core can be considered as north pole, and the core over which this winding is wound, that core we can consider as the south pole. So in this way you can create the poles. Okay, and the flux is always created from the north pole, it will be moving towards the south pole. Clear? So here we have north alternative, north pole and south pole. So this is actually your pole system. Over the pole system we will be having the windings, and these windings are generally known as the field windings. These are known as the field windings. Okay, or simply the field coil. And here the part through which the flux will be passing out of this core, this part, this is known as the foot, or simply we can say this is the pole shoe. This is the shoe of the pole. This is the pole shoe. Pole core, pole shoe, field winding. So this is all about the field system. And again here you can see one stand. Over this stand your complete field system is stood, and this stand is generally known as the yoke. This is known as yoke or frame. Okay, and next we'll be going to the rotor part. Once we'll be giving the supply, DC supply to this one, then here we'll be having the DC magnetic field. So this DC magnetic field will be there inside this air gap. Next we have a rotating part. What will be there in the rotating part? In this rotating part we will be having a rotor. So actually what the DC generator does, it converts the mechanical energy into the electrical energy. So how it is converted? Before, for any kind of machines you have always the field system where the field is created like this. Inside the field what I need to do, I have to rotate this particular rotor. So once this one is rotated through a shaft, one shaft like this will be there, we have to rotate this one. So once it is rotated, at the outer periphery of this particular rotor we will be having the rotor conductor. So once the rotor conductor is there, once it is rotated, the magnetic field whatever is created, it is caught by this particular rotor or rotor conductor. Hence in the rotor conductor we will be having the induced EMF. So now let us understand how actually we can get a electrical energy at the output where we are giving a mechanical energy in the input. So what exactly done? As I told you, here we have to rotate this particular rotor. So once the rotor is rotated, along with that the rotor conductor also will be rotated. So what I will do here, I will take a single conductor here. So to that single conductor, suppose I do have two poles, north pole and south pole. As all of you know, the flux will be created from the north pole, thus that will be moving towards the south pole in this way. Next we do have a conductor like this. Next what we have to do, we have to rotate this one. So once the conductor is rotated here, then ultimately an EMF is induced. Where the EMF will be induced? At the terminals of the rotor there will be induced EMF. And always remember, the induced EMF is always alternating in nature. So whenever we have a alternating induced EMF here, that alternating induced EMF, suppose directly I will be connecting a load through the process. Process are generally the medium to collect the current. Through process we can collect the current. Then what will happen? As the EMF is induced, suppose we do have a supply like this, induced EMF like this, then we have a load current in this way, because whatever the current will be there, that is V divided by R. So ultimately it is again a alternating current, it will be in this way. But my point here is, as it is a DC generator, then at the output whatever the current will be flowing, already we have seen that the electrical energy is produced. Now the point is, whatever the electrical energy is produced here, that is DC in nature instead of AC, or that is unidirectional in nature instead of bidirectional. So now we have to convert this one from bidirectional into unidirectional like this. So what I will do here we have to do a special kind of arrangement. So what is that arrangement? That arrangement is known as commutation. That process is known as generally commutation, or here we have to use a device to convert the AC into DC. So what exactly is done here? What is the commutator? See, in a commutator generally we will be having two conducting cylindrical, half cylindrical parts, okay, and separated by a dielectric material. That dielectric material is generally made up of mica, okay. And so now we will understand the concept of commutation, how actually the commutator converts the AC into a unidirectional current. So what exactly happens here? See, these are two brushes. Generally brushes are made up of carbon or graphite. So the brushes are made up of carbon and graphite, and the working of brushes are to collect the currents. First of all, here what happens? Here actually you have positive point, you have negative point here, and this is a insulating layer here, okay. So whenever the supply is given, or whatever the supply we are getting at this point, that supply, suppose for first half cycle, the current through this one flows in this way. Now once it is rotated, how the arrangement is made? The arrangement is made in such a way that this commutator will be rotating, this one will be rotating, but these two brushes will not be rotating. So once it will be completing again one half cycle, then what happens? This one comes here and this one goes here, but the brushes are not changing. So as the brushes are not changing, this side becomes again positive, this one becomes again negative. So what happens here? In the negative half cycle, your current also flows in the same direction. As the supply, this one is positive, this one is negative, current also will be flowing in the same direction. So only the point here is, here these brushes will be not rotating, even though this one will be rotating, and brushes position is fixed. So as the brushes position is fixed, for positive half cycle current flows in this way, for the negative half cycle also the current flows in this way. In that way we have a unidirectional current in this particular load instead of a bidirectional current in this structure what we are getting earlier, okay. So this is all about the commutation action, clear. So in the commutator we have two conducting copper segment separated by a dielectric medium, brushes made up of graphite or carbon, okay, and those will be attached here, clear. And finally we have the commutation process here to convert the alternating supply into a unidirectional supply. In this way you do have the current at the output. So here actually what happens, will be having this portion, this shaded portion will be in the form of balls and bearings. Why? Because those are connected in order not to move this means this particular part. So how we cannot move this one? Just by connecting some balls and bearings over here, so that this part will not be, which one? These brushes will not be moving, clear. This one will be rotating, whereas the brushes will not be rotating. So next we will understand the most important part, that is EMF equation of DC generator. So now we will understand the EMF equation of DC generator. So to understand the EMF equation, first of all we need to see where actually the EMF is created. See, actually the EMF is created across these two terminals. What is this? This is the armature conductor. What is this? This one is flux. And what is this? This one is the pole. So ultimately we can, in a rough way we can say that whatever the EMF will be induced, that will be finally depending on how many poles will be there. what is the flux produced from the pole, how many conductors are there, what is the rotation of the conductor or the speed of this particular conductor, in what speed this one is rotating. So these are the various factors on which the EMF induced will be depending. So now see, we will be defining those factors. What are they? First one is, suppose flux per pole is phi. Next, suppose the number of poles is equals to P. The number of revolution is generally given by it is generally given in RPM. Let that is given by N. Let the number of conductors of the, because we do not have generally one conductor, we will be having number of conductors. Let that is represented as Z. And another point is C. Now whenever we will be keeping the conductors in the armature slot, those conductors will be having generally two ways of means representation. One way to get more current. While we want to get the more current, you just remember for the time being that while you will be getting the more current, we have to connect the conductors in the lap way. Lapping means you have to conductor like this. Once you will be having the lap connection, then ultimately you will be having number of parallel paths as equals to more, and that is generally given by A, which is equals to P. Once A is equals to P, what is A? Number of parallel path. What is P? Number of poles. Then it is said to be lap winding. And again another conductor will be there where we need to get more voltage and less current. So for that one, what we need to do, we have to go for another kind of connection, that is known as wave winding. So ultimately we have two types of armature conductors. One is lap connected conductor, one is wave connected conductor. Okay, so now according to the number of parallel paths, always the EMF will be calculated, and now the EMF finally will be depending on these factors. Clear? Generally this is a rough structure I have given. This is the shape of wave, this is the shape of lapping. Lapping means one upon another. So this is actually the case of lap connection. Okay, so now as all of you know that EMF per conductor, generally suppose I want to know the EMF induced from Faraday's laws, we know that minus n d phi by dt, but actually here we don't have n as the number of conductor, it is in the form of Z. Clear? Suppose I am taking one conductor per conductor, then it will be minus d phi divided by dt. Okay, suppose I want to ignore this this sign, or want to ignore this direction, then I can represent this one as only d phi divided by dt. So I can say that the number of, or we can say the EMF induced per conductor as equals to d phi divided by dt. Clear? It is the case when we do have only magnitude. But see, now this is the case of flux which is not alternating in nature. If it will be time varying, then d phi by dt will have some value. But once it is static, directly I can say this one will be equals to 0. But this is not the case. Once this is a DC machine, then d phi will not be in the form of change of magnetic field. It is actually in the form of total magnetic field or total flux in DC machine. But in AC machine, phi is a alternating quantity, it is a time varying quantity, so that phi does have a expression. What is dt? In case of DC machine, that is the case of time, but change in time, in AC machine it is change in time, but in case of DC machine it is nothing but the time taken for one revolution. You just remember this point. Clear? And next, time taken for one revolution. Next, what is d phi? D phi will be equals to phi multiplied by p. Why? Because phi is the flux per pole, p is the total number of poles, then phi multiplied by p is given by d phi. Similarly, as all of you know that 60 second, n is the revolution per second. Okay, revolution per minute. That means in 60 second you have n number of revolution. So in 1 second how many revolution will be there? N divided by 60. So now the point is time taken for one revolution. What is the time taken for one revolution? That is generally given by 60 divided by n from this expression. So what is the EMF per conductor? EMF per conductor, where Z is equals to 1 earlier I have taken, that P phi divided by 60 by n. So that is this much. Total EMF for Z conductor, Z number of conductor, this multiplied by Z. So that P n phi divided by 60. What I told you have to calculate the EMF per parallel path. So what will be the EMF per parallel path? Parallel path is given by A. So P n phi Z divided by 60A. Again, we have two types of windings. One is wave winding, one is lap winding. For wave winding, A is equals to 2. So EMF will be equals to how much? This one. In place of A you just put 2. And for lap winding, A is equals to P. And for A you have to put as P, P will be getting cancelled, we have this much of value. So this is the induced EMF in case of, or we can say the EMF equation in case of your DC generator. So next we will understand the different types of DC generators. So what do you mean by types of the DC generator? The types means how the field winding, the starter field winding is excited. So if we will be exciting the starter field winding by a separate DC supply, then the particular DC generator is said to be separately excited. But if the starter winding, whatever is there, is excited by the system, by the generator itself, then it is known as self-excited. How it is created, I will tell you. So first of all, you have the armature part, we have the field part. Generally armature part will be generally representing in this way. We have the armature core, the brushes are there. So inside this one you have to understand that the armature resistance is there. Field winding will be generally representing the field winding like this one. But as it is the DC analysis, in DC analysis the value of X, because here winding means will be having a R and a L, but L will be not considered. Why? Because for DC frequency is 0, so XL as equals to 0, only the resistance we have to represent. Even though the representation is like this, but you have to only understand that whether it is armature or field, we have only the resistances. Clear? Acha. See the separately excited. In separately excited, as I told you, see what is the structure here, how this is generally known as the equivalent electrical equivalent circuit of a DC generator. What happens here? Here we have a generated EMF. That generated EMF, where it is generated, it is generally created EMF equation. So whatever the EMF equation, this one where it is created in the armature. So this one will be producing a current. This current will be flowing in the load. So ultimately this is your armature circuit. Again field winding, this one is excited by a separately DC supply, and this one is known as a separately excited DC generator. Okay, next, what is actually self-excited? See, for self-excitation what is done? Now whatever the field winding will be there, where the field winding will be there? The field winding will be here. So whatever the field winding will be here, how it is excited? So first of all, we have already understood a concept of residual magnetism in magnetic circuit. In magnetic circuit, residual magnetism means what? A very small amount of magnetic field or magnetic flux will be already present in these windings. Now that small amount of magnetic field, whatever will be there, once it is rotated, finally whatever the EMF will be induced, it will be depending on the flux, because it is P and phi Z. So as it will be directly proportional to phi, so that a very small amount of EMF will be induced here. That induced EMF will be producing some current, and that current whatever will be flowing through the armature conductor, that current will be producing again some flux in the armature conductor. So now whatever the original flux will be there from the field, now that field flux will be now adding with the armature flux. So once it will be adding, suppose initially you will be having suppose a 2 Weber flux. Now after addition we have 4 Weber flux. Now it will be generally definitely greater than the flux whatever will be there earlier. So now total flux similarly, now under that 4 Weber flux, once it is again rotated, now some amount of again flux will be added to this 4 Weber, maybe 8 Weber, maybe 10 Weber next, maybe 20 Weber. In that way, until we are getting a constant speed, okay, or until we get a constant EMF, until that time it will be simply getting added. So finally at the end we do have a constant EMF. Okay, so originally we have some amount of flux will be here, residual flux. Under the residual flux, this one will be rotating, then after the flux will be added, and finally at the end the total flux will be getting cumulative, and at the end we do have some constant amount of magnetic field at the end, and from that magnetic field we will be having the voltage. Clear? So this is actually self-excited. So under self-excited we are not exciting this field winding from a separate DC source. We will be exciting this field winding by the system itself. Clear? Originally very small, then after it will be coming to the constant flux. It will be the constant flux will be coming to this particular air gap. So next we will understand what are different types of self-excited. See, we do have only one type of separately excited, that the separate DC source is given to the field winding to excite the system. That's all. Next, self excited are of different types. What is self excited? So far the electrical connection is concerned, we do have different kind of self excited. So under this one, either we can connect the field winding, because here there will be no separate connection between the field system and the armature system. The armature and field system are to be connected together if it is self excited. So as they to be connected together, then how will be connecting them? So either we can connect this part with this part in series, or we can connect this part with this part in parallel, or sometimes it happens that one will not be sufficient. Once one is damaged, then other field winding will be acting. So in that case we do have two field windings. Clear? So that is known as compound. So first series, in series we have this one in series with the field winding. Shunt, we have this one in shunt, means in parallel. Shunt means parallel with the armature part. And in the compound we have two types. Again on two types, whether they are connected in different way, why it is known as long shunt compound and short shunt compound, again I will tell you. So in case of compound we have again two types, one is long shunt, short shunt. So as a whole, self excited is divided into three categories: series, shunt, compound. Under compound we have again long shunt and we have again short shunt. Now let us go to the series generator. So in series generator, as the name suggests, we have the armature part in series with the field winding. This is known as series field winding. And again we have the load as usual. So now if we want to analyze this one, very simple for analysis. What I told you earlier, armature circuit means under armature we will be having the generated EMF, along with that we will be having the armature resistance for the armature winding. Even though this one will be very very small, but still there will be, you have to represent this one. Okay, so wherever you have this representation, you have to understand this one. So now what you have to do, we have to find out the value of, see, for this one armature current is IA, series resistance current is given by, or series field current is given by IAC. IL is the load current, where actually we are getting the output voltage or output current. So IA, armature current, same as IAC, same as IL, first point. Next, if I will be applying simple KVL in this circuit, what will be the KVL? For this one or for this one, EG minus IARA, you just remember EG minus IARA, because IA is going in this way, EG minus IARA minus IAC RAC, because for this one it will be IAC multiplied by RAC, plus to minus, it is minus V as equals to 0. So what is the value of EG? That is V plus IA, RA plus RAC. Why? Because here IA, IAC, IL all are equal. So you do have this one. Okay, so now suppose I want to find out the generated EMF. What is generated EMF? Generated EMF means how much EMF is generated here. That is generated voltage multiplied by generated current. So can be written as EG multiplied by IA. Clear? And suppose, sorry, generated power. This is power. Generated power. How much power is generated? Generated voltage multiplied by generated current. Another factor is there, that is known as power at load. Power at load. How much power is there at the load? Very simple. It is a DC analysis. In DC, power is always V multiplied by I. So what is V here? It is PL as equals to V multiplied by I multiplied by L. What is this one? Is IL. This one is IL multiplied by V as equals to power delivery. So in every DC machine, the power generator is always EG into IA. In every DC generator, the power delivery is always given by V multiplied by IL. So whether this machine or this one, in any category, this is the common expression. Okay, next, shunt generator. As I told you, in shunt generator, the armature will be connected in parallel with the shunt field resistance. Clear? And load will be connected here. So from this diagram, how much generated EMF, it will be giving the armature current, that is distributed here. One is ISH, one is IL here. So I can write IA as equals to ISH plus IL. Very simple. What is, suppose I want to find out ISH here. So what will be ISH? Suppose V will be given. I want to find out ISH. All are in parallel. So V by RSH as equals to ISH. Next, again applying KVL in this circuit, in this path. Once will be applying KVL in this path. So Eg minus IaRa minus V as equals to 0. So what is Eg? V plus IaRa. Shunt generator. Compound generator. See, in compound generator we do have two types. One is long shunt. Why it is known as long shunt? Shunt winding C will be long shunt with this particular armature. If in this case we will say it is said to be short shunt, because here both armature and series field winding are shunted with the shunt winding, but in this case only the armature is shunted with the shunt winding. That's why it is known as long shunt. This is known as short shunt. Again, once I will be understanding, you will be understanding this expression. Again, very simple. Ia as equals to IAC as equals to ISS plus IL. Yes, apply KVL here. Eg minus IARA, because this part is always Eg minus IARA minus IAC RAC minus VL as equals to 0. So what is the value of Eg? V plus IA RA plus IAC, because here along with RA this one is in series. Next, what is, suppose I want to find out the value of ISH. So ISH will be V divided by RSH. Okay, so once you can draw this diagram, automatically these expressions you can get. Similarly, suppose I want to find out the value of IA here. What is IA here? IAC equals to IL plus ISH, because this current will be equals to this plus this. So Eg minus IARA minus IAC RAC minus V as equals to 0. Apply KVL here. So Eg will be equals to this one in case of your short shunt. Okay, so this is all about the short shunt. Clear? So these are different equations. Problems also are coming from this expression. The question will be for a particular machine. Once you can draw the diagram, then automatically you can have the equations, and from the equations you can automatically solve whatever is asked.